Instead, it stands witness to a poignant story at the beginning of our country's history. 89 men, 17 women, 11 children, 2 of them born on American soil, left on Roanoke Island in the summer of 1587, never to be seen again by European eyes. This story remains as a beginning that might have been, a journey into a wilderness from which there was no return. Sir Walter Raleigh, poet, historian, handsome courtier, and flamboyant statesman, had great ambitions, both for himself and for England. He and others believed that for England to grow into greatness, she must plant seeds of colonization in the soil of distant lands. Raleigh's noble dream of colonies was tied to his desire to plunder the treasure ships of Spain. Reports from early French and Spanish expeditions to the New World hinted at a broad bay north of Spanish Florida, ideal, Raleigh hoped, for harboring English privateers. In 1584, with his sights trained on this potential Atlantic lair, Raleigh began his first attempt to gain a military foothold on foreign soil.
These new lands shall now and ever be called Virginia.
He sent 2 small ships, roughly 40 men, hardened soldiers and sailors, also a scientist, and the expedition's official artist, John White.
Go. Fetch my chest, boy.
We can only imagine how these Indians must have felt when first they set eyes upon these alien explorers. Yet the Indians welcomed them with warm hospitality and a natural curiosity. In contrast, the English were a bit more fearful. John White's most important work would be his accurate portrayal of the life and death of the natives of this new world. His drawings depict neither savages nor noble innocence, but a culture in harmony with their environment. These Algonquin Indians grew crops of corn, beans, and tobacco. They also gathered fruits, nuts, and berries. They hunted and fished as well, supplementing their harvests with deer and small game. The Algonquin wanted metal tools and other English trade goods. In return, the Indians supplied much-needed food as well as pearls and tobacco. Relations between the Indians and the English went well, and when the expedition returned home to England, 2 Indians, Manio and one Chase, sailed with them. The following year, a larger fleet, commanded by Sir Richard Grenville, returned to the shores of Roanoke. John White and the 2 Indians again made the long ocean passage. As they navigated the treacherous coastline, Grenville's flagship, the Tiger, ran aground, ruining much of their food and supplies. Luckily, the Indians were in the midst of a bountiful summer harvest.
A veritable mountain of big fuel. Now, it should be ours, and soon. For they eat it all on plates of empty things.
Depend on me, Governor. These savages know nothing of English.
But the guests shall we begin?
The English focused instead on exploration and the search for easy riches. John White and the scientist Thomas Harriot made a careful record of the land around them. Harriot's descriptions of the plants and animals, along with White's drawings, gave eager Europeans their first glimpse of the New World. The colony's governor, Ralph Lane, directed the construction of an earthen fort as a defense against Spanish attacks should their island base be discovered. As fall gave way to winter, the Indians had less food to spare. Tensions mounted as diseases, which did not seem to affect the Englishmen, began to strike down the natives. Governor Lane, suspicious of a conspiracy to drive his colony off the island, planned an attack against the Indians. This ill-prepared military force was soon to give up its tenuous grip on Roanoke. The chance arrival of Sir Francis Drake's war fleet offered deliverance, safe passage home to England. Sir Walter Raleigh began planning for another, more ambitious colony for Virginia. The colonists would be given tracts of land on which to grow their food and raise their families, and a greater voice in their own government.
And let me congratulate ourselves and our new governor of Virginia, John White.
This new settlement would be self-sufficient. Women and children would make the colony a long-term growing community in the New World.
Then on to the Tanners Guild. Glad to have you with us. Dear daughter, to supper then. Sir.
I love your daughter, and do ask you for her hand in marriage. I propose we combine our households and live together as one great family.
Yes, of course. Families. No greater fortune could shine our endeavor in Virginia.
John White recruited over 100 people who were willing to cut lifelong ties to friends and families and make a dangerous voyage across 3,000 miles of open sea, a voyage to a new home. Raleigh, with the knowledge gained from Manio and the earlier expeditions, decided to plant the new colony farther north of Roanoke, on the banks of the Chesapeake Bay. They arrived safely off the coast of Roanoke, but were soon confronted with their first crisis. The ship's pilot insisted that the summer was too far advanced for them to sail any farther north. Frustrated and angered, the colonists were put ashore on Roanoke. Determined to see their dreams become reality, the brave settlers began the arduous task of repairing the buildings abandoned by the previous expedition. With a variety of skills and the sweat of their brows, they fashioned homes on the edge of this vast, unknown continent. Relations between the Native Americans and the colonists were not good. Both were distrustful of the intentions of the other.
find me a deer today.
The Indians, with the murder of their tribal leaders still burning in their memories, took action to avenge their deaths.
Good day. I am an Englishman. I am a friend. Then we did confer with Mateo.
The settlers demanded of Governor White that justice be done.
To all the adjoining towns, George Howe lies cold in his grave. It falls to us to avenge his death. To one death would we add another.
There was the renewal of life as well. John White's daughter gave birth to Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the New World. Here was hope, a new beginning. The easy life many had hoped for was not found. The colonists were disillusioned and apprehensive of the future. They were desperately lacking in food, tools, salt, and seed.
Commodities we have none.
They urged their governor to return to England for more supplies.
It's not the place you promised. Go home for us, Governor.
Go home, John.
But the fate of the tiny colony would be decided by forces beyond the horizon. The threat of the Spanish Armada had prompted England to push all ships into military service. Raleigh, heavily involved in the preparations for war, had little time to devote to his colony. White was unable to locate an available ship, nor could he find solid investors to finance a return voyage to Virginia. Finally, after 3 years, and on the birthday of his granddaughter, Virginia Dare, John White returned to Roanoke, hoping to be reunited with his friends and family. Where once there were homes, now only ruins. A palisade, a wall of sturdy timber had been built around the village. Had the settlers been massacred and the buildings destroyed? Or had they moved to another location? The Chesapeake Bay, perhaps, as originally planned.
Ananias? Mateo? Agnes?
On a post was carved the word Croatoan, an island near Cape Hatteras where Manio's tribe lived. White, desperate to learn the fate of the settlers, wanted to sail for Croatoan, but a storm forced his return to England. Haunted by his inability to find his family and friends, White planned to renew his quest. Raleigh reportedly made several attempts to locate the colonists in the following years, but no trace was ever found. The fate of the lost colony may never be known. More than 400 years have passed since John White and 115 others set foot on Roanoke. They came in search of land on which to build homes, raise families, establish communities. The Roanoke settlement was the dawn of English colonization in the New World. Although these settlers disappeared, their pioneering spirit would live on at Jamestown, at Plymouth Rock, wherever brave families seek out a new beginning.
I think that's